Hey guys, what's going on? I figured you've seen a couple of my camping videos now, and I just use my gear. I don't always slow down and talk about what it is that I have. My bag's always changing. I buy stuff, use it, don't love it, get rid of it, put more things in for a specific reason on whatever it is I'm doing that day. Or I'll take stuff out if I know I'm not going to use it for that occasion. But I figured I'd give you a brief rundown just of what I typically carry. So I guess we'll start just right from the outside. Just a standard pack. People like to talk about bags in 24-hour bags, 72-hour bags, whatever. I prefer the concept of a bag that is self-sustaining, one that you can essentially live with based on what's in it indefinitely in any type of situation. So this is my bag. I could not tell you who makes it. On the outside here, I start with just a little med pack. I don't bring this most of the time when I'm camping. This is more of oh crap, we need to leave, grab this in case anything terrible happens. There's stitches, there's band-aids, there's tourniquets, there's all the things that you hope you never have to use in here. But all things that you should have in a long-term survival situation. Obviously plenty of antibiotic ointment. What you've got in here kind of opens up like this. Essentially there's an IFAC kit in here, kind of military issue like, but we can do another video on the specifics of this another time. Essentially a March kit. So then I have just on the outside of the pack right now, compass, because that's something you can always benefit from. Pretty standard compass, you know, enough features that you can use a sight window to find your direction. You can adjust it for your specific location to get a true north, but overall just to have a general sense of direction where you're going is a must. So I carry that. Moving along, right here in my main front pouch, I typically use that for anything that is firearm related. It does have a little Velcro holster in here for a handgun that you can put your gun in there and you can Velcro it on in a fashion that it fits and it's readily accessible. Or I'll put, you know, a couple of little magazines for my 10-22, which I quite often carry. That's why these are in there now. It's extremely versatile. Self-defense, obviously it's a small round, but it's doable. But more so, you can carry a lot of them. It's lightweight. They're relatively inexpensive. You can get small game, squirrel, rabbit, etc. And if you had to, in a serious survival situation, it would take down big game with a proper placed shot as well. This is a bag of, actually it's a cricket-based survival food that I'm finishing up. They're pretty good, not gonna lie, this is my first time I tried them out, and super protein packed, lightweight. You can get a lot of calories out of a really small brick. So I like to keep that in there. But front pouch, I just use that pretty much for firearms, ammunition, things of that nature. It's got this little pouch in the front here. Currently I've got this little, it's a battery, like a glow stick, I guess. Honestly, it's pretty bright, like in your tent, your shelter at night, or you could hang it off a tree branch for kind of a little bit of a perimeter light. I think it said it lasts something like 48 hours or something like that, maybe even 72, just on a couple little watch batteries that are in there. So it was like $2. So a couple of those are a pretty sweet little addition to your bag. I've got a little paracord bracelet I've just had this for a real long time. Something that you could wear, something you can just keep in your bag. I forget how long it is, but you can rip it apart, and it's a pretty substantial amount of paracord that you can never have enough of in your bag. Let's see what else. I've got, this is an LED, or a lithium battery for my LED flashlight that I can keep charged. I have another one in my flashlight. It's nice to have backups. In fact, just a little pen light. I like to carry this because it's USB chargeable, so I can recharge it all the time, use it all the time. Pretty sure it's waterproof. It's super bright, so that's a nice feature in a flashlight. You want it to be bright, and of course it does have a strobe feature, which maybe you'll use it, maybe you won't. Good for signaling, good for right in somebody's face if you need to temporarily stun them. So I keep a spare battery for that in my pack, as well as a couple of AAA batteries because it'll run off that as well. So pretty versatile. I like that. I also carry a handful of framing nails because you can use them. You might have seen in my last video. You can use them for anything. Pound them into a tree to hang your pack on if you don't have a tree nearby with a substantial branch that you can hang it on. Shelter building, the list goes on. And of course, when you're done, you can rock them back and forth and get them out and put them back in your pack. It's nice to just have 5 or 10 of them in your bag. You can always use them for something. Then also in that pouch, I have this Gerber multi-tool. I like it a lot. Standard, you know, spring-loaded. Obviously the pliers and all the other knickknacks, you know about multi-tools. The screwdriver, the scissors, the bottle opener, the can opener, the wood saw, the regular knife. All things you could use on a multi-tool. So that's a must in any pack, I think. So that's pretty much that little pouch. I guess before we go forward, typically first thing I do when I get to camp is I'll set up shelter, because I prefer, depending on the situation, in a survival situation, shelter is priority, right? And then water, fire, things like that, kind of in that order, but you want a shelter. So I keep on these couple of straps on the side, just my little ground breaker blanket you've seen in my videos. It folds out. So I lay it down on the ground or on top of my tarp, depending on what kind of shelter I built, and it's my first layer of defense against cold ground. So I carry that in cold conditions. Fairly light, fairly compact, and it does a lot. Usually my sleeping bag is right here. I've got this buckle, and it'll buckle there. You've seen in my videos that it'll sit right in there, but right now I've got that hung up so the duck down feathers can breathe and be expanded. Figured you've seen that. But that's a Marmot Sawtooth sleeping bag. Super warm, super nice, super light, super compact, and not a terrible price. I think that was about $300, which I thought was crazy expensive at first. But then you'd start looking at them and you could spend $1,000 or more on a good sleeping bag. So I settled on that one, and I've been super happy with it so far. So I've got that, and I've got that. So in my next pouch, I've got a bunch of little knickknacks. Currently I've got this little Ziploc bag in there with a partial roll of toilet paper. Obviously we know what we use toilet paper for, but also it's great for a little bit like nose tissue. You can blow your nose. If you get a cut, it's a good little something you can put on there. Just wipe your hands off quick. It's nice to have some tissue. In this bag, I've got, it's a Ziploc for one, so obviously you can use that. It's got 3 or 4 or 5 more Ziplocs in there as well. I like if I shoot a squirrel or something like that, you know, just skin it real quick near a creek, and you can just put the clean skinned squirrel in a Ziploc, throw it back in your bag, and you can keep on going with it, and it's not getting all over everything else in your bag. There's also a pretty decent amount of paper towels. Obviously, those are super beneficial. absorbent. They can be used for all sorts of things. And I have a couple of just household garbage bags in here too. Again, you could rip it open. You've got a semi-waterproof membrane. Use it for gathering leaves, whatever, anything you want to do for like bedding material and carrying that. This gives you another option for a pouch, something to carry things in. Multi-use things, I guess, are key. And they don't take up any space, and they don't weigh anything. And being in this Ziploc, I can press all the air out, zip it up, and it doesn't take up any space. So that's a cool little kit. You might have seen my last video too. I have these Duke Cannon wipes. They are cold shower, cooling field towels, and they're just awesome for cleaning your hands up, wiping your face down. If you're sweating, just give yourself a cold shower. Or obviously for bathroom purposes or what have you. A few wet wipes are definitely a luxury, but if you can fit them in your pack and carry them, why not have some? This pair of wool socks, they're not actually wool, they're alpaca. I mentioned in my last video I like alpaca because it's a little bit softer than wool, but keeps all the same qualities. It wicks moisture, keeps you warm when they're wet, etc. So I like to keep a dry extra pair just in case. I've got this little pack that I bought of survival blankets. There were 4 of them in here, there are 3 in here now. I find that when you open one of these up and they're just a Mylar sheet, that you will never get them folded up to fit in these little baggies the way they did from the factory. But pretty much like a thin garbage bag type material, Mylar. Super nice for heat reflection, for shelter, for an extra thermal layer of blanket. Again, multi-use is key. And they come in this little case, which could be used for a multitude of things too. The more stuff you have that doesn't weigh that much, doesn't take up that much space, that you can carry comfortably, better off you'll be. Got my life straw in here. I still plan on buying one that you can actually pump water through, and we'll get to the reason why soon in a minute. But this is nice if you come across a stream or a creek or a pond. Even if you have to, you can drink through here and it reduces your risk of getting sick pretty well. Getting down towards the bottom, it's got a little pouch of tuna. It's, again, lightweight, small, lots of calories, doesn't go bad. Pretty good little thing to have in there. You can forget about it and it's there when you need it. And then I have this life tent. I have not used this yet. Again, I usually carry a tarp. We'll get to that. But it's more or less just the same survival blanket-like material. I believe it's Mylar. Then you can just use it for all sorts of stuff. Shelter, blah, blah, blah. So that's in there. And it comes with some more rope in there too. Paracord. So can never have enough of that. And this just happens to have a whistle on it too, that apparently just came off its string. But got a whistle. That's it for the main pouch, and then it's got a couple little pockets in here. A couple of hand warmers. You can see I used one because I train and practice with this bag all the time, so things are constantly being resupplied. But hand warmers are such a luxury that don't weigh anything and don't take up space, so why not have those? This little can here is a survival fishing kit from wasteland.com, and there's a bunch of hooks, lures, I think there's a couple of bobbers in there. There's a little tiny multi-tool in here which is cool for just fishing needs. Hooks and line and everything. I've actually used this and I've caught some fish before, so this goes back to my concept of having a sustainable bag that you can live out of indefinitely. This, if you don't lose pieces and stuff like that and you utilize it right, can get you food indefinitely near a decent water source. So definitely carry that. Here I've got a set of bootlaces. If I'm out with my boots and I break a lace, sure, I've got paracord and everything else. What if you don't? It's awesome to have a spare set of bootlaces, because you know what it's like when you break a lace and now your boots are pretty much useless and light, small, don't take up any space. Carry some. I like to. I have a spife, which is a spork slash knife. It's got a corrugated edge, spoon, fork, knife. Just convenient to have. I like that. I've got this emergency knife sharpener, and it comes with a hook sharpener as well, a little doodad that sticks out of the side, and it comes with a flint stick too. So, you know, in an emergency, you can use the flint. Although, I like to also carry a whole bunch of these little Bic lighters. I mentioned in the last video, they're light. I keep saying the same thing, but they're small, they're light, they don't take up a lot of space, and they can get wet, they can get beat up, but if they dry out, they will work again. So I usually carry at least 5 of those. Here's another one. I like to keep those handy. I just have a straggler fishing lure and a fishing lead that I probably couldn't get into the fishing kit last time I used it, so those are in there. So that does it for that pouch. So then, the last pouch, and the largest, is I keep my tarp right here, which is fair size. And I've mentioned before that I want to get a different one that has more options, more features, and they make them so much more compact than this. So I want something that's equal quality. This is a Aer, I don't know, A-R-A-E-R tarp, and it serves its purpose. It's 10 by 15 feet, and I like it a lot, but I'd like one a little bit smaller, more compact, that might not quite weigh as much too. We'll see what's out there, and I'll let you know when I get something. So in here, there's a couple different pouches. In the main, I've got this guy, which is Sleep and Go sleeping pad, inflatable. It takes 12 breaths. I counted on my last video to inflate it, and that's just another layer between me and the ground, a little bit of comfort, and that's invaluable. And I've got this Life Bivy, which I tried out camping once. I didn't film it, I should have, with just this as my sleeping bag. I mean, it was probably 30 degrees at night, and I absolutely froze. And I had to climb into it with my head and everything else and close it up, and the moisture just from me breathing filled it up with condensation, and it was miserable. So why do I still carry it? With my regular sleeping bag, if it gets really cold, I can put that inside of this and trap a little bit more thermal heat that's trying to escape, and it doesn't weigh anything. So I keep that in there for that reason. I've got a hatchet that's a Colt. I'd actually had a knife that's stored in the handle as well, but that broke on me on my last trip, so I'm going to look into something else. But it's crucial just to have a little hatchet. I mean, you can use it as a hammer, obviously, with my nails. You can split wood, cut branches off. Awesome tool. Kind of on the heavier side, takes up a little bit more of the space, but crucial. And then in this little pocket, I have this water storage bag, completely flat, but it folds out, and what does it hold? I don't remember. A little more than a gallon, 5 liters. So that's why I want a water filter that pumps, because you can find a water storage supply, or whatever, water supply I should say, and you can run the filter with a pump right into this bag, fill it up, and then you're just carrying that with you. You can strap it to the molly webbing, you can carry it in your hand, but now you have water in a bag that you brought with you. Yeah, you could fill it up right out of the creek or whatever, but then you're contaminating the bag. So I like that because doesn't weigh anything and it doesn't take up any space. I have this hand saw. It's a Rex Betty, I guess. Yep, I don't love it, although I think if I was a little bit gentler on it, it might have lasted me longer. But the blade got pretty bent and the tip broke off, but it's still extremely sharp and it's processed a decent amount of wood. So I am also in the market for a better hand saw. But in the meantime, this still does a really good job. Just gotta kind of straighten it out sometimes. What else? Guess that's it, except for this little pouch in the back where I just have a bunch of these little, I think they're 8 or 9 hour candles. A little bit unnecessary, but they're awesome for light all night or all afternoon, because it gets dark here at 5 p.m. right now. They're just a nice way that you can kind of light up your perimeter. You can use it for heat in a small setting. You can cook with it, essentially, if you had it in a contained source, or at least not cook, but warm things up. It's a way to keep a flame for a long amount of time. So I like those. I keep 10 or a dozen of those at all times. And the last thing in that compartment is this little mess kit. Some of it's a little bit on the chintzier side. I bought it. I don't love all of it, but it comes with a pan that is super beneficial for cooking, obviously. A kettle, which I've used multiple times for sanitizing and boiling water. You can't beat that. You could do little soups if you do a little foraging for things and get a little meats, whatever, just rig something together. It's survival. So the lid, of course, for that little kettle. And inside the kettle, they give you a sponge, which I don't think would be my first priority in camping, but it's in there. It fits. Doesn't take any weight. It's a sponge, so I keep it in there. A little wooden spoon for mixing, serving, scooping. I suppose you could use it for digging in a little bit of dirt if you had to. So that's in there. Another spork combo. This one's metal. Flips up. It's pretty cool. So that's in there. And these couple little bowls. Plastic bowls. I use them for coffee cups. Sometimes I'll bring like instant coffee with me. I'll have some of that in the bag. So you can use these cups for that. I've done it, and even though they're plastic, they don't melt with a little bit of boiling water. And a little ladle type guy that it comes with. So your mess needs are met that way. So lastly, in my bag, is my Camelback, which we learned in my last video can freeze and really leave you in a messed up situation. But this is a straw, which I typically will have kind of ran down here on my left side, because that's my preference. And so when I'm wearing it, the straw is right there. You can just pull it up and drink. And that goes into a compartment that is made for just such a purpose here in the back. There's the Camelback. And it's got a couple little hooks that it hangs on. It's super convenient. And so you have at least a water supply to start out with. And again, if I had a filter water pump, I would use that to fill that back up. I shouldn't have said lastly, because when I'm wearing this, I will run the strap around me. And right now it's adjusted for winter weather wear. It's a little loose. But on it is my knife, which is a Gerber strong arm, I believe. That is an awesome knife. I've loved it. Serves purpose well. I like it. It just clicks into the sheath, and then it's quick, easy. I use it for my deer knife, to process meat, what have you. So I suppose that's it. That's what I carry pretty much as a staple of what's in my bag. Any questions, leave them in the comments. I will most certainly respond. Tips, tricks, advice, tarps you recommend, water filters you recommend, hand saws you recommend, let me know. Definitely appreciate anybody's experience with anything that they have, and I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.